transferable? What do you mean by that? Like it doesn't go by generations?
If a priest sins, should the people of his church be guilty of it?
Well, this is where it's difficult, because it's the priest is supposed to be like the pastor, who is supposed to be like the shepherd, who is supposed to be leading the flock. And so if the priest or shepherd or whatever is sinning and thereby transferring that to his flock, who now, not by any of their own anything other than ignorance, is doing the same sin, then yeah, it is transferable.
I didn't ask if the people are doing the same sin. I asked if a priest commits a sin, does the guilt transfer to his followers?
His followers.
Or his parishioners?
I guess it depends also. All right, so, we may not be...
but it's just a yes or no. I just need a yes or a no.
Yeah, it's not that deep.
If you condone it. Do you condone it? That's the question.
We're not asking if they condone it.
No.
I'm saying if a priest sins, it doesn't matter if they know about the sin or not. If a priest commits a sin, is the congregation guilty as well?
If they know about it and...
I didn't say they knew about it.
No.
Okay,
Maybe let's simplify this. If the priest unalives somebody, does that mean that anybody in his congregation also did it?
Well, that's where it's just like, it's such a difficult question. You're trying to simplify something.
No,
it's like,
no,
if they're a good leader,
it's not difficult. It's not difficult.
It's a very easy question.
Can I speak? I want to just finish my thought here. If they're a good leader, then they're going to be transparent, and people are going to know what they're doing.
We're talking about
that has
whether or not
nothing to do with the question.
So if the priest unalives somebody.
Okay, ultimate yapper. It's just a yes or no. If a priest commits a sin, just imagine nobody knows about it. Nobody other than God knows that the priest committed a sin. Nobody knows a damn thing, okay? He hasn't even been found out. If the priest commits a sin, does the guilt of that sin transfer to his congregation, yes or no? I muted him, but I'm certain he's still talking.
Yeah.
All right, if I lost my train of thought there. All right, so if the priest commits a sin and nobody knows about it, he shouldn't be a priest to begin with.
My question, I'm asking, is the guilt of the sin transferable or applicable to the congregation?
Yes.
How?
Why?
Because of the fact that it's not just a one-way relationship. You're not just supposed to blindly follow another man. You're supposed to question your leadership. So
we have to simplify this even more.
Sacrificing
That's crazy.
babies.
No.
I'm just letting you know. I gave you an answer.
Ultimate.
You didn't like it.
No. But you're just so in bad faith taking the question.
You're so
pretend
in
it
your
is the
beliefs that you're unwilling to even listen to anybody else.
This is nothing you're doing is constructive. Is the problem?
Well,
pretend it's the stop talking. Pretend it is the nanosecond after the priest has committed the sin. Is anybody in the congregation guilty of that sin? Let's also say it's Thursday, so they're not in church or anything like that.
Or maybe there's a time lapse of a week. Let's say that.
I literally just told you that it's a nanosecond after the sin has taken place.
Well, you get a week to figure it out.
That's not the analogy.
You don't get to tell me what my hypothetical is.
Well, you can't nitpick and try to corner somebody. I already know.
Yes,
we're not cornering you. It's a yes or a no question, and it is an easy one. If a leader of a congregation commits a sin, is anybody in the congregation guilty of that sin? I can't believe that he has to think about this. This is crazy.
So what were we talking about? Purple background? Hold on, what?
If somebody commits a sin that is a priest or a leader of a people group, are any of the people guilty of that sin?
Yes.
How?
Because, like I said, it's a two-way street.
Okay,
They
so
should hold their leaders
we'll try this again. So if your priest ends up touching a little kid, should you go to jail with him?
You should hold your leaders accountable.
Not a question, not an answer. My question was, if your priest touches a child, should you go to prison with your priest?
You're condoning it by
you're not
holding your
condoning
leader
it.
Accountable. So
You're not there's nothing to do.
The answer is yes.
Well, it has nothing to do with holding him accountable for it. You don't know he did it. In the analogy, every time we've given it, you don't know that your priest is committing the sin.
You shouldn't.
We've had to specify the analogy so many times, and he's just forgot all of the details. Nobody knows this sin has taken place. We are talking about literally the next moment after it has occurred. Nobody witnessed it. Is anybody else guilty of the sin that the priest has committed?
Okay, like I said, I'm sticking to what I said.
Can you provide
already.
an answer to our actual analogy, or do you just want to keep making?
You're not satisfied.
No,
with it.
to our analogy. The answer to the analogy we gave. You don't know he sinned. A priest just committed a sin. You have no idea he's committed a sin.
So you're asking
the congregation is the congregation guilty of the sin that the priest committed 5 nanoseconds ago?
You're asking me if I'm part of a congregation, because that's the only answer I can give you from my personal experience, from my personal knowledge. And so you're asking me if the person that I am holding as a leader commits a sin.
This isn't about you. The fact that you're making this about you is so precious.
Dude, how come you can interrupt me, but I'm not allowed to talk, and you're muting me every 5 seconds? So like I was saying, if
you're arguing in bad faith,
part of a congregation and I'm not holding my leader accountable, then yes, I am guilty of that sin too.
You don't know the sin committed.
That's not the question.
That's not the question. If a priest or a leader of a congregation commits a sin right now, this very second, you have no idea. Are you guilty of the sin that the priest committed?
I don't know what to say.
I know, because it's an easy question, and you have no.
Yes.
Okay, so why would you be guilty of the same crime, and should you go to prison with your priest?
Because I was part of that group that was part of that group.
Okay, should the Catholics go to prison whenever their priest touches a child? And every time a Baptist or a Protestant minister turns out they were having illicit affairs with children, should their congregation go to jail with them?
If their leaders aren't held accountable, yes.
Buddy, I didn't say a fucking word about being held accountable. I don't know why you keep bringing that up.
Because
I'm asking,
be the one.
What is it doing?
If somebody is leading a church and they commit a crime, should the congregation be held accountable for the crime, or should the person who committed the crime be held accountable?
Now you're just sounding silly, because you're.
I'm sounding silly for explaining how the justice system works.
That I said backwards.
It's hard for me to imagine somebody is this slow. Like I'm really trying to wrap my head around it. His name is fitting. The Ultimate Warrior is a head case. If you've actually seen him in real life, this is the type of guy that believes UFOs exist and like Bigfoot is working with the CIA to like bring down the American government. He's insane.
I saw this. There's viral TikTok once a long time ago, and the guy said, if you're engaging with somebody and they are literally incapable of working with a hypothetical, you're simply dealing with somebody that doesn't have the intelligence to actually discuss a complex topic with you. And like, I don't want to believe that that's true, but based on what I'm seeing is like the fact that you called all of those elementary school words I just said word salad tells me everything I think I need to know about you.
So I tried
those
to
were $1 words.
So I tried to bring like a really easy
You
hypothetical
got rainbow.
to the surface so that like we can actually discuss a biblical passage that I'm certain that he didn't actually know about. So maybe I'll start with like an even easier Bible passage. If it happens that, like, say for example, are you in a relationship? Are you with a wife or a girlfriend or boyfriend or anything? What's your situation?
Please.
I am in a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Do you have a significant other that is in this plane of existence?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, let's imagine you did. Okay, let's imagine you had
I don't
a
even have a
wife.
family.
Imagine you had a wife. Hell, you can even have a family. I don't care. Imagine you've got a wife, and you go out and you commit adultery. Should your wife be punished for you committing the adultery?
Hold on. All right. So if I have a wife,
He's got to think
and I
about
commit
it.
adultery,
It's crazy.
should my wife be punished for my adultery? She's already being punished for my adultery.
No. I'm talking about actually
you-
being punished.
Like,
I'm not saying are there negative consequences that your wife experiences. I'm saying should she be punished? Should she be reprimanded because of your adultery?
Well, we are in America. No, I'm just. No. It's obviously the answer is no.
Okay, and why not?
Why not? Because she was the one who was the wrong was being done to.
Right, because she didn't commit the crime. The person that commits the crime is the one that should be punished, right?
Yeah. Well, and again, this is the issue. This is the issue
It's the
that if she
simplest
condones
question.
it, then yes, she should be punished.
We didn't say a damn thing about condoning it. I don't know why you
So-
keep adding
so
scenarios
there's-
into the analogy that aren't actually part of the analogy. It's crazy that he's this far out. Okay, so
there-
I know.
I only bring that up because in the Bible, God punishes people for their spouse's sin. You want to read that with me?
Sure.
Cool. It's in 2 Samuel chapter 12 when David committed adultery with Bathsheba, when he basically summoned her to come have sex with him. And then when she found out to be pregnant, he sent the husband to be killed on the front lines of battle. And the prophet Nathan brings a judgment on David. And it says, part of the judgment, thus saith the Lord, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor. He shall lie with your wives in the sight of this very sun, for you did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. Or some translations will just say in broad daylight. So God actually had 10 of David's wives raped for David's sin as payback.
Okay. Now, I didn't say anything about graping.
Yeah, it did. We'll read the whole thing. So it says, I will raise up trouble against you. This is trouble, okay, from in your own house, and I will take your wives. Did it say that your wives are going to leave you, or does he say that I will take your wives?
But that's where maybe the interpretation that
We'll try this again. Does he say I will take your wives?
God?
Is that God
Who
doing
is-
the action?
God, who is the floaty thingy,
Is God
Right.
doing the action?
and he's taken the wives, he's turned their spirits so that they leave David. They don't want to be with David anymore.
Well, that's
They
not
want
what
to
the
be with
text
other men.
says.
But that's
The-
not what it doesn't say. What you're
the
saying
more
That's
is-
not what it doesn't.
the more
what you're
words
saying-
the more words you add to the text that aren't there, the more embarrassing it's going to be when they take you to chapter 16.
Isn't it a sin to add to the perfect and holy scripture?
Yeah, Deuteronomy 4,
Yeah.
1 through 2, and Deuteronomy 12, 32.
It is.
Yeah,
the
dude, you better
right-
repent like hell.
It
Yeah,
is
it
the
is
right
crazy.
of the king to scrutinize the scriptures.
Are you the king?
It's the right of the king to scrutinize
I'm just
the
saying.
scriptures.
Are you
The amount of
king?
meaningless
Are you
words
the
falling
king?
out of this guy's mouth is
Are
unbelievable.
you the king?
I'm the king of this live. So I'm asking you,
Well, purple
who
is
is
the king.
who is taking your wives? Is it God? Who's taking the wives?
God?
Does it say that they're leaving voluntarily?
It could be like
Nervous
that's
laughter is nervous.
it boggles my mind because you call yourself intelligent and you can't even.
So you can't
put
actually answer
yourself
the
in
question.
second- No, but I'm just saying.
The crash
dude,
out's
listen,
wild
listen.
tonight.
Listen, let me speak.
We never said that we were either.
It's wild that just reading the Bible gets them like red hot. So did God say, I will take your wives?
I'm the ultimate warrior, dude. I'm always hot.
Oh, man.
So who's doing the action in this statement?
God.
Okay, so God is doing it. And what's he doing in the statement?
But it could be a like a phrase, what is it called? A turn of phrase or whatever.
It's not a turn of phrase.
Something else. But it
doesn't mean something else. It means what it says.
Could be. Because
it says, I will take your wives before your very eyes. And he says, I will give them to your neighbor, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. Have you read the rest of the story? Do you know what happens?
Yes, I know what happens.
What happens? Tell us.
So he takes the wives and he unalives his firstborn child with Bathsheba.
Keep going. What happens to the wives?
I mean, I didn't memorize the scripture.
You don't know the story then.
I do.
I'm not asking you to quote the scriptures. I'm asking you to tell me what happened.
My real name is Elias, which is, of course,
a liar?
The whole book of Kings and all those things. They were very interesting to me, so I did read it.
Do you know what happens in chapter 16 of 2 Samuel?
I'm not going to lie about that.
Do you know what happens in chapter 16 of 2 Samuel? It's when his son, the trouble within his own house that God raised up, his son is now at war with his father David. He's chased him out of the palace, and David is now on the run and fighting for his life against the armies of Absalom. Absalom marches into Jerusalem, takes over the palace, and then takes 10 of David's concubines, his wives that he left behind, and then he takes them up to the top of the palace as a display of force. And he sleeps in broad daylight with 10 of David's wives on top of the palace to demonstrate to everybody in Israel that he's now the new king.
I really want to read that. I want to see where that's written.
Right there.
Oh boy.
Chapter 16. Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, that's his advisor, give us your counsel. What shall we do? Ahithophel said to Absalom, go into your father's concubines, the ones that he left to look after the house, and all Israel will hear that you have made yourself odious to your father, and the hands of all who are with you will be strengthened. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel.
Okay.
So God caused it to happen.
Well,
yeah, he definitely pitched a tent.
Again, where the hypothetical comes in. As I believe, everything is within the realm of possibility, and it's not necessarily that God has done this, specifically.
He said He's causing it to happen.
God has either lifted up or put down whatever it is that He has, as far as spirit, as far as goodness, as far as protection and
goodness.
Yeah, and so
is the infanticide and the mass rape orgy good?
It up or puts it down is what
he says.
Are those things good? Is the infanticide and the rape orgy in this story good?
I never imagine I hear someone with so many words but so little coherent thoughts.
Listen to what I'm saying, though. When
you're not saying anything. You're just rambling. Just an incoherent string of rambling. We're asking very easy questions. Did God, the verse that we just read where David's wives are taken by force, did God cause that to happen according to the text?
When you're doing good.
Did God cause that to happen according to the text, yes or no?
The spirit of goodness.
Yeah, so the question was.
Is able to work.
It's amazing.
He didn't stop talking.
When you're doing that. The spirit.
I'm just going to keep muting him till he answers my question. According to the text, did God say that He's causing the thing to happen?
The answer now.
It's a yes. It's a yes or no question. Did God cause it to happen? I want to hear a yes or a no.
I rebuke you. No. Yeah, I forget what was the question again. What was the question again? Come on.
According to the story, did God say He's the one causing it to happen?
Yeah.
Then God is responsible. Then God is responsible for the punishment that
For
he
the
placed
prophecy.
on David and his wives.
But what if it was a prophecy?
It doesn't matter if it's a prophecy. God caused it to happen.
I guess.
So
And
you
so
said at the beginning of the
by that
conversation that
God
wives
sees the
shouldn't be
evil-
punished for the crimes of their husband, but here we find God punishing wives for the crimes of their husband.
But the wife actually
dead
that got
baby.
punished was Bathsheba.
Yeah, and the dead baby. He killed the baby too because of it. Why'd the baby have to get
But
executed?
listen to this, though. Why didn't Bathsheba say, King David, I'm married to Uriah?
Bathsheba has nothing to do with it. It was right about the baby.
So wasn't she just as responsible for the fornication?
I don't care. We're talking about the baby.
And so because of that, now Uriah got killed?
Try to track with us.
I'm
We
just
are
saying,
not
you
told
can
about
try to,
any.
like, nit-
We're not told by any text that Bathsheba was punished. What we're
Everything
told is that there were two punishments given. One punishment fell on the 10 wives of David, and the other punishment fell on the child of David. Did the child commit any sins?
A proper judge will see.
Did the child commit any sins?
He was born of sin, but no.
Did the child commit anything warranting being punished?
He was born of sin, but no.
Was that his fault? Did he do
no.
it?
It was not his fault.
Okay, so the only person in the story that sinned were David and Bathsheba. Did they get punished, or did the wives and the child get punished?
Everybody got punished.
Even the people who didn't sin.
Yes.
And do you think that's a good thing, that people who don't sin get punished for the sins of another?
I think that we need to look at the whole picture.
Should people who don't commit the sin be punished for the sin?
Again, if you condone sin,
It's a yes or no. We didn't say anything about condoning.
Yeah, the
that's
baby
where
didn't
the
speak
problem
out
is.
against
That's-
what
I
was
think
happening.
That's where we're having our disagreement.
It's not where we're having a disagreement. You keep adding stuff into the story that's not there.
I'm saying
Nobody
it has to.
Nobody said a damn thing about condoning anything. The baby didn't condone a damn thing. It can't even talk. It's not even sentient. It's only a day old when God cursed it.
So, what is your belief on my choice, my body for the
Huge fucking pivot. We're not talking about abortion
It's
at
the
all.
same
We're talking
thing.
about why God thinks it's okay to punish people for crimes that they never committed.
You gotta admit that was a good pivot, though.
It was a terrible pivot.
There aren't any good pivots.
Oh, okay. So what were we talking about again?
So, very clear. You think it's okay to punish people for crimes they never committed. And you call that justice?
If you condone it, I mean, because I'll give you another example.
For fuck's sake, nobody said a goddamn thing about condoning anything.
What about the Nazis and Hitler?
Buddy, we're not talking about that. We're talking about if somebody commits a sin, not that somebody else is helping or assisting or condoning.
It's an example of it.
It's not an example. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I'm telling you. All right, but yeah, no, I guess, I don't know, agree to disagree. I'm not really sure where we're going with this anymore.
Disagree on what?
I
That the
think,
baby had it coming?
I think that
Did the wives have it coming?
the concubines,
Yeah.
probably not.
Did the baby have it coming?
The baby, and this is actually something that I did want to question
It's
you
just
about.
a yes or no. Did the baby
Listen,
have it
listen,
coming?
listen, this is a serious question. Don't get mad.
It's going to be a yes or a no. Did the baby have it coming?
I really have a good question.
You really need to answer my question before you say anything else.
The baby did not have it coming. Now
Okay,
my
so
question-
was God
now my
wrong for
question- you're
punishing
not gonna
people
even let
who...
me ask-
Did God get it wrong for punishing people who didn't have it coming?
No.
So
Listen,
then,
though.
why is it? So why is it good when God does it, but it's bad when everyone else does it?
You just said they
hold
didn't
on.
deserve
I
it,
gotta-
so
I gotta-
this is
I'm
literally
driving, so I gotta move
unjust.
Yeah, he is driving.
So you're saying it's good that God did an unjust thing?
That's what I'm
not gonna be
hearing.
able to unmute because I'm going to be moving. So
All right. Well, don't worry. It's time to move on to the next one, anyways. I think you've uttered enough nonsense for the night.
I rebuke you.
It's been a minute since I got rebuked.